The growing world population, water shortages, and climate change are forcing us to rethink how we produce our food. Crops need water, yet water is becoming a scarce resource. Although modern sprinkler and drip irrigation systems may save about half of the water compared to flood irrigation, the initial installation cost is high. And farmers need to learn new skills to use new irrigation systems. In many parts of the world, every drop of water counts.
Earlier, the rainfall was abundant, so plenty of water was available in wells. Now, with less rainfall, we do not even have enough water for drip irrigation.
So, let us see how farmers can make use of pitcher irrigation, a cheap way to save water that has been used for thousands of years and that is highly useful to grow vegetables and fruits in arid and semi-arid areas. With pitcher irrigation, round porous clay pots are buried into the soil near the crop and filled with water.
Drip irrigation is expensive for us, so we couldn't do it. We can get pots easily for a cheap price. Hence, we are watering the plants through pots.
The water seeps out slowly through the porous walls of the pot and reaches the roots of the plants. As the plants consume the water, more water will seep out from the pot. In this way, the pot provides exactly the right amount of water needed for the plants. Now that we get a clear picture of what pitcher irrigation is, let's learn from farmers in India about its importance and how to use it.
Previously, to irrigate from the canal, I needed over 12,500 liters of water due to evaporation and other wastage. Now, I place a pot near the crop and water it through the pot. I only need 1/10 of the water. So, only 1,200 liters are sufficient. The crop is also healthy.
Pitcher irrigation is particularly useful to grow crops in soils that have become too salty. When fields in dry areas are flood irrigated, water quickly evaporates and leaves behind a hard, rough layer of salt on the soil's surface, so crops will no longer be able to grow. When you try to wash away the salt with more flood irrigation, even though the water is fresh, it will get mixed with the salt in the soil and dry up your crops. But if you use pitcher irrigation, fresh water will directly reach the roots and your crop will thrive. Pitcher irrigation can also be used to establish crops on steep slopes and fast-draining areas where conventional irrigation is impractical. Because you're not putting water directly on the soil, this helps to keep from washing your soil away. Another great benefit compared to flood irrigation is that there are fewer weeds with pitcher irrigation, as water is only delivered to the roots of the crop.
Flood irrigation requires more water. Not only that, the weeds will germinate throughout the field. It will cost more per person to weed. But when we water through the pots, there is little weed growth. Weeds only grow just around the pot. The rest of the field hardly has any weeds.
Pitcher irrigation is not expensive to install and it is easy to use. Now that we know the many benefits, let us now see how to install pitcher pots in the field. Select pitchers of about 10 liters, which are made of clay and fired in a bonfire, pit or kiln. Smaller pots will cover only a small area, so you will need more of them. The wall of the pitchers should be about 1 centimeter thick. If it is thicker, less water will leave the pot. On the other hand, if it is thinner, the pods can easily break when buried in the soil. Dig a round pit so that when the pitcher is placed in the pit, its neck will be above the soil surface. Make the pit larger than the pot. You can adjust the size of the pit to the size of the pitcher. Set aside the soil that you dug out of the pit. Some farmers mix the soil with double the amount of well-decomposed farmyard manure and put part of this mixture in the pit. This adds fertility to the soil to help grow better plants. Place the pitcher in the center of the pit and fill up the space around the pitcher with the remaining mixture or with just the soil from the pit. Leave the neck of the pitcher exposed. Now, fill the pitchers with fresh water and cover the opening with a baked clay lid to avoid evaporation.
We cover the pot to prevent the water from evaporating by the sun. Secondly, insects may fall into the pot and there will be algae growth. In order to avoid this, we cover the pot.
Sow 4 to 6 vegetable seeds or seedlings like cucumber, okra or eggplant around the pitcher, about 20 to 30 centimeters away from the neck of the pot. Leave the same distance between the seedlings in a row. Each pot will moisten the soil up to 40 centimeters away from the pot. So in your vegetable garden, bury the pots about 80 centimeters apart. Refill the pots every few days, whenever they are dry. You can add a liter of organic growth promoter to the water every few weeks. This will further stimulate the plant growth.
We make our own growth stimulant to add in the pot. We take a kilogram of bananas, a kilogram of jaggery, 5 liters of buttermilk and 5 liters of tender coconut water. We mash all together, place it in a container and cover it with a cloth to protect it from insects and mosquitoes. We mix this solution well every day until the tonic is ready. We then mix a liter of growth promoter with 10 liters of water and pour into the pitcher. This will provide the required nutrients to the crop so it will grow healthy and well nourished.
For coconut saplings, leave 60 to 90 centimeters between the pot and the stem. For mango saplings, bury a pot 50 to 75 centimeters away from the main stem. For mature fruit trees that are planted 4 meters apart, place a pot halfway in between 2 trees. If the trees are further apart, leave 1 to 2 meters between the tree trunk and the pot.
My mature coconut trees lacked nutrients. They looked weak. Trees in such condition are easily attacked by pests and diseases. They yielded little. So I was worried and wondered what I could do. That time, my neighbor advised me to bury pots nearby the trees and add growth promoter regularly. I followed her instructions. My trees are healthy now and also yield more. I am very happy now.
I bury the pot between 2 trees. Around the pot, I plant vegetables such as okra, eggplant and chilies as an intercrop. Thus the vegetables will grow healthy. With the same water and the same amount of organic fertilizer, we get extra income from the vegetables. As a whole, it is profitable.
In case you don't have clay pots, you can use plastic bottles instead. To easily fill up the bottles with water, cut off the top part. Make holes in the lower part of the bottle using a heated nail or a wire or a metal skewer. The more holes you make, the faster the water will flow. To prevent the soil and roots from getting into the bottle and clogging up the holes, farmers in Tamil Nadu have come up with a clever solution.
When pots were not available, I opted for watering the crops using bottles. After making holes in the bottle, I cover the outside of the bottle with a jute sack and then bury this into the soil. By doing this, the water flows freely without the holes getting blocked. I suggested the same to my other farming friends. They too followed it. Hence, all our crops look very healthy and nourished despite water scarcity.
Bury the bottles in the soil, leaving the opening just above the ground. So, what have we learned? The technique of pouring water in buried porous clay pots has been successfully used for thousands of years. Pitcher irrigation requires less water than other irrigation systems. It can be used in dry areas, in fields affected by salt, and on steep slopes. Dig pits and mix the soil from the pits with double the amount of compost. Put the pitchers in the ground, leaving their necks above ground, and fill up the space around the pot with a mix of soil and compost or just with soil. Fill the pitchers with water every few days or when they are dry. Every few weeks, you can also mix a liter of liquid growth promoter in the water. With pitcher irrigation, you can harvest more crops per drop.